Good morning, y'all. Good morning from Texas. I'm coming to you today to say hi. I hope that everything is going well for you. And I've become aware lately, or I've admitted to it lately, as I walk with my dogs and talk with the neighbors and sit down, Missy, and talk with my dogs and the neighbors' dogs, that I don't think people realize how sensitive animals are. And I was walking with Missy, that's my pit bull, my 90-pound pit bull. And I've become aware lately, or admitted lately, how people give them such a bad name. And it's the same way they talk about Black people. And the thing is that I realize that she is one of the kindest, most gentle animals that I know. And when she walks with me, she does what an animal is supposed to do. But the bad name that pit bulls get, they get because they have been taught to be mean animals. They're not innately mean animals. And I was saying to a gentleman that I met along the way one day, he kind of said something. But I said, she is the most gentle animal that I know. And she does anything that I ask her to do. And the man looked at me and smiled and he said, Miss, she is good to you. But I can tell that I would be in deep yogurt if I tried to get close to you. And of course, I, I realized at that time that it's true. She's doing what she's supposed to do. She takes care of me. And the funny thing is, in her taking care of me, she comes across as a mean animal, or as a person who knows, or as an animal who knows how to take care of you. And when I look at all the animals in the neighborhood while she was away, believe it or not, the animals wanted to know where she was. And after a few days, it became very apparent that they understood what I was saying to them, that she was away, that she had gone to University of Oklahoma with her real caretaker, um, who was going back to take some tests. And all through the neighborhood now, all of the animals, her name is Missy, when they see her coming, they are just really, instead of being very, very animated the way they had been when I was first coming up without her, they are so glad to see her back. And even the biggest animals, who are sometimes bigger than she is, they will stop and we get a little bit closer, and I carry treats with me so that I can give them a little treat and we can get close enough to say hi. And you can tell from the animals speak that they are actually holding a conversation. They're holding a conversation with me. And in animal speak, it comes across, how are you today, Gigi? And I will say things like, I'm feeling very well. And we'll stop I'll, and of course, the bigger animals, or it doesn't really matter, they will come up and like, where is my treat? Uh, Enough of this chit chat. Where is my goodie? And the more you talk to them, the more you know that they are in harmony with you as a person. And as big as these animals are, from the largest to the smallest, they are really very, very sensitive. Now, the other thing that I kind of was thinking about this week was, I think it was when Mr. Biden came back and was talking about some of the some of the things that he wants for our country. And he was really being kicked to the curb by everybody. And it's as if all of a sudden, 5, 10 years of animosity from other countries is heaped on Mr. Biden, who just took over a little bit ago. And you wonder, how can anybody have that much? I'm not saying it's the right way, because what I really, really want to say is, all of a sudden, he is being blamed for 10, 12, 15 years of the bad, ugly things that Mr. Trump brought into America. And when you look at, first of all, that he has the audacity to talk about running for the presidency again, that nobody, I shouldn't say nobody, because fortunately the young people went to the polls and voted for whomever some of the younger candidates were who were seeking office. And I'm not talking about Republicans, Democrats, independents, whatever, but people who were talking about representing the people in their districts. Some of the people who had gone in and done as much gerrymandering as they could do, and the people who were running for office had nothing to do with representing their people. As I think about, I guess the last time I really thought about Republicans, John McCain was the last really decent, really almost decent person, Republican, Democrat, whatever, who was somebody who would have represented America and the people of America. And of course, throughout districts, there are different kinds of people. There are rich people, there are poor people, there are people of very moderate means. There are people who go to bed hungry every night. There are children who go to bed hungry every night, who wake up hungry every day, while tons of food are thrown away in many places. Good food that could be used by the masses that are going to bed hungry, who are going to school with their feet touching the ground and it is cold. Now, if you happen to live in a warm climate, you don't know what it's like. But if you live in a place that it is cold and the snow comes through the roof, the rain comes through the roof, and there are people who are throwing stuff away. What does this say about what we're doing? I find myself thinking and questioning while they're talking about whatever that is. What it is, 42? What does that represent? And they're talking about all of these people crossing the border, wanting to cross the border. And with all of the things that people know about how really bad things are in America, think about how bad it must be, the places from which these people are coming, that they would rather come to America because it's better here than it is in places from which they are coming. And I find myself thinking that maybe they need to do something about the lady standing in the harbor with her torch raised. Give me your tired, your hungry, huddled, wretched masses, longing to be free. Now, how can you ask this and actually say, welcome to America, and you're beating off the people who are coming from places that evidently must be worse, that they would be willing to take this kind of abuse? Now, let's talk about our children in school. What are we doing for our children in school? What kind of example are we setting for them? When the people who sit at the helm of the richest country tell you that lying, cheating, stealing, being cruel to the elderly, being cruel to little children, being abusive to people who can't fight back. What kind of example are we setting for our children when we tell them that this is all right? When we tell them, oh, it's okay if you do that. The thing is, don't get caught. What kind of an example is that? Is that what we want to tell our kids? And I think what my 8-year-old great-granddaughter said to me one day, when I don't know why I called her, but I finally said, "Do you hear me?" And evidently in their third grade class or their second grade class. They were just learning something about paying attention and listening. And she, without pause, looked up and said, "Gigi, I heard you, but I'm not listening." And she thought it was perfectly all right to say, which it is. And she told the truth. "Hey, I heard you, girl, but I am not listening." And again, I look at the people who are at the helm and what we're saying to our young people. Hey, it's okay to lie. It's okay to steal. It's okay to cheat. Just don't get caught. That's the secret. Now, let's look at our 9 and 10-year-olds. What are we doing when we take them to school? What are we saying to them? No, we are not saying woof, woof, woof. That was my dog. But, and she, believe it or not, she is responding to what are we saying to our kids. That's basically what we're saying to them. That you go out there and raise them out of hell, and maybe somebody will listen to you. And one thing is that when anybody comes to my door, they listen to this dog because they don't try to get past the door. The people, where did I learn about it? When did I learn about it? Do they still have antitrust laws in there? Or do you know what an antitrust law is? Because it was one person wasn't supposed to own everything. And when I look and hear this dog barking, I can tell you that there are one of two people at my door. It's either a FedEx man or it's somebody. What's the brown car? I can't think of it, but you know the brown car. And I wonder, how do they do this? And if you call one of those numbers on the telephone, within 24 hours, Amazon sends it to you. Now, does anybody else deliver other than Amazon? And I'm going to tell you, Amazon really, they don't have to advertise, because everybody knows that you can depend on Amazon. And what is more, not only do they deliver it fast, if it is not done correctly, it is picked up as quickly as it is delivered. That is what you call good business. But is that not a monopoly? Who else does it? Where else do they do it? Now, is this what we're teaching our kids? That if you want to do something, what you want to tell them is prepare yourself. But prepare yourself in such a way that you don't step on somebody to get to where you're going. You don't have to step on somebody else in order to get where you're going. Preparing yourself is not synonymous with stepping on someone else. Case in point, look at the football players. Are they team people? you get a chance to see that for every team, there are 13 eyes on that field on the day of the game. The biggest eye being the quarterback. But the quarterback, without the other 12 people, is it 12 or 11? I mean, is it 11 or 13? Whatever. But without the other people, the quarterback is nothing. But you really get a chance to see that preparation is everything. If you listened to Prescott the other day, he told you about how important it was for him to have all of those other people, the ends, and they don't call any people outs, but the end people, the quarterback, the kicker. You notice how once they get to that point where they're going to have a field goal, they bring out this kicker, and after they make that field goal, do you see the kicker again? They protect the kicker so his foot isn't messed up because it's needed. And this is really, really how teams work. They get somebody who is good at something, and everybody works together with that person. Within a family, you have a quarterback, a kicker. Now, there are families where there are only 4 people. There are families where the team is the family. I'm from a family of 15. I'm the 14th of 15 kids. And I had a place on that team. I have 11 brothers. And it's only lately that I realized I was not a hero, but I was a hell of a shero. And the thing, you don't hear anything about sheroes. I look back where our Career Technical Center, it's the other thing. We need to start looking at vocational technical education. Vocational technical education keeps America working. And if you don't believe it, when's the last time you took your car to a dealership? Now, the person who got that car on the road and together was an engineer. 4, 5, 6 years of school, post high school, graduate school. But the person who keeps that car on the road is a Vokie. And if you want to talk to him, you don't talk Engineer East. You talk, Mechanic East. You talk about the motor. You talk about the wires that go from the engine to the grill to whatever pipes are that connect one thing to the other. And again, it's about working together. Together. And it doesn't work if you don't work together. And the thing is, you go in and you wait your turn and you wait patiently. Now, who is at the head of the line all the time? The person who goes early. The early bird catches the worm. Now, there's the smarty pants who would say, the early worm gets caught. But there's a way to get around that. It's a matter of preparation. Now, I don't know how worms prepare themselves, but somehow or other they manage. They manage. And all you gotta, have you ever dug up, have you ever gone digging worms? Now this is where having 11 brothers came in handy, because we lived about, maybe, I'd say about a half block, maybe a quarter of a block from the water. And we went fishing every day. We would get a big net, and 5 of us would walk across the water and catch whatever we could in the net. And we would have shrimp and crabs and whatever kind of fish was indigenous to that area. And of course, if it weren't a good size, we would throw it back and let it, mature. But we also would take things to our neighbors. Now you're asking yourself, well, why would you do that, and why didn't your neighbors do it? Well, of course, the neighbors didn't like doing that. They had something else that they could do. And I liked being outside. I would rather be outside any day. And it's one of the things you do, that's whatever floats your boat. And that's how teams are made up. That's how different classes are made up. There are some people who like being outdoors. There are people who like being indoors. I'm an outdoor person. Now, of course, sitting in this wheelchair really is not too cool. However, the alternative is worse than that, because it means that I can't get around at all. So I learned how to, the only thing is I need to have somebody to close the door behind me. That's not a big deal. So I found a way to get that done too. But it's again, every time I look at it, the biggest thing was the day I admitted to myself that I'm going to be in this chair. And I admitted to myself that I'm wheelchair bound. It took me a long time to accept it, but I accepted it in such a way that there are so many things that I can do. And of course, one of the biggest things I can do is I can read. That's one of the things that, if you really want your children or those children around you to know where everything is, let them know they can read. Now, one of the things I've had to come across lately is that technology is making the idea of being able to read a little bit difficult. Not so much that you don't need to read, but that there are so many things. Technology is making you lazy because it makes you accept the fact that there's a machine that can replace you. So what you need to do is that you need to be in the area where you know eventually something's going to happen to that machine. You need to be one of the people who can take care of that machine, or who can have the technology in place so that machine will be taken care of, so that what you need is there when you need it. I was looking at somebody the other day. I don't remember quite what it was, but it had something to do with the administration or use of that COVID vaccine and the ease which it is given. And one thing, again, got to back up a little bit. And as much as I hate to, we did not have to be in this space, because back 3 years ago, when they first started talking about the vaccine, had they listened to getting your vaccine instead of denigrating it, we wouldn't be in this spot. And it's like when you think about kids going back to school, how many can remember that a kid was not allowed to go back to school if they did not have their, what was called at that time, childhood vaccine? Tuberculosis, TB, I think measles, mumps, and there was something else, and I don't remember that. But if you ask Alexa, she'll tell you whatever vaccines are necessary right now. That's another case in point. I have fallen in love with Alexa. Alexa, number one, can answer practically every question. But I found out that Alexa will say, I don't guess she doesn't say, I don't know. But she will tell you in a minute that she hasn't been programmed for whatever it is you're asking her. And it's, again, where we are with what we're doing. And something tells me that one of the things my late husband used to get very, very vexed with me when he would ask me something, and in a heartbeat, I look up and I don't mind saying I don't know, because I don't know. And I think that it's better to tell someone I don't know than to give them this information and resignedly give them information as if you do know. And they will pass it on to someone else. And there is the misinformation being perpetuated into perpetuity, if you will. And I reached the point where, smarty pants that I am, I don't he was the only person they did not look like looking dumb to. But it dawned on me one day, well, why am I feeling bad about? I didn't ask him. He asked me. And now think about that for a minute. It's don't you think it's better to give the answer I don't know than to give an answer that's incorrect and have it passed on? And they will say, well, Laura told me that. Hey, so Laura knows everything? And what Laura used to say when they would come up with that was, I don't know everything, but what I don't know isn't worth knowing. Now that's not nice. So what I started saying was even less nice than that, was, I didn't ask you. You asked me. So therein lies another tale. And on that, I think what they say is, I'm out of here. Ta-da!